Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Code Man Movies. We are on, episode 23, something like that, I don't know. We're in our 20s now. Good job, guys. We are old enough to drink now, which is great because I'm drinking right now. I am drinking another beer from the Brewing Project because I am bringing some beers to my buddy in Chicago in 20 days. This one happens to be the Breakfast Buds. It's an imperial stout with coffee and maple syrup, and it is delicious. This is working. This is good. You're never going to believe what happened right before I did this. I was setting my light thing up, and it broke. It stupid piece of plastic, it broke. I'll see if I can super glue it or something like that. If not, well, I'm making it kind of work, so that's good. That broke. How great. It's working as of now, but you might fall off at some point. That's great, right? It's good. Guys, not much to talk about as far as personal life goes. 20 days till I have a vacation. That means I'll be skipping a week for this podcast because I just won't have time while I'm in Chicago. That is the news of the week. We're going to get going here because I actually have to go meet a client in about an hour here to talk about some things. And I am actually missing something that I actually needed because I forgot about this things broke and I don't know where I put it now. But that's really great. And this is, just great entertainment here right now. But I was going to have something so that it was easier, and now I found it, so that's good. That's great. Everything's in place. Am I even still in frame? I think I'm in frame. That's good. I'm taking a drink because nothing's going the right way today, which is, it's fine. That's life for you. How are you guys doing? Everybody doing good here? Someone finally comment below. Somebody should comment. Somebody should finally do it. Just do it. Come on, guys. You can do it. Anyways, guys, let's start talking about movies. Let's stop horsing around. Movies. That's what we need to talk about right now. But yeah, everything's finally set up. We're going to go with the flow. Here we go. First movie I saw this week, though, guys, was Twister. This is a 1990s movie. I saw this for my film class. The category this week, was movies that won a Razzie, or got nominated for a Razzie, I think. I can't remember. Something to do with the Razzies. This movie was something that was in the Razzies. It shouldn't have been. This is not a terrible movie. This movie actually has some really great 90s special effects that actually have held up over time. There's obviously some cheesy, bad 90s effects in there. But it's really not terrible. The plot of this movie is these people go chase twisters. That's really all the plot is. This is a fun, dumb 90s movie. And that's really about it. There's not a lot of negative to say about this movie. There's not a lot of great things to say about this movie. But what I can say is it's fun, it's dumb, and it's just a 90s movie. That's all it needs to be. There is a love triangle in this movie. Basically, I kind of told you the plot of the movie, but there's other plots in this movie with Bill Pullman. He has gotten divorced, or is working on getting divorced from Helen Hunt before, basically getting engaged and married to another lady. And he is bringing Helen Hunt the papers, and Helen Hunt is still currently a twister fighter person. And Bill Pullman used to be, but they separated, and now he's getting thrown back in the game because he brought his divorce papers, and Helen Hunt won't sign them. That's kind of that plot. And it's this love triangle that's kind of dumb, because you kind of know by the end of the movie that he and Helen Hunt are going to get back together. And so then there's this other plot point with this gal that he wants to marry, where she's just kind of in for the ride on this twister crap and hunting twisters because Bill Pullman gets pulled back into it. And at the end, it's just like, that woman did nothing wrong. She was a reasonable woman, very nice person, and she's just kind of thrown to the side because, we actually like the same things and we're going to actually end up back together. And it just could have been taken out. It was kind of nasty and messy in my eyes, and it makes me not like the character, Bill Pullman's characters and Helen Hunt's characters. I can't remember the actual character names, but it makes me not like the characters as much because this woman did nothing wrong. She's a really nice gal. You can understand why Bill Pullman's character is going to go marry her. and instead she's thrown to the side because of old history. And it's just kind of dumb. But at the end of the day, there's some great acting in this movie. Like I said, Bill Pullman, Helen Hunt, Philip Seymour Hoffman's in this movie. Carrie Ellis is in this movie. There's some 90s characters in this as well. People who are just bad and evil people just cause. And then there's also, this movie also reminded me a lot of Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler kind of stole from this movie and made it better, because Nightcrawler is very much a better movie in my eyes. But yeah, I saw a lot of similarities to Nightcrawler with this movie, and Nightcrawler is just a better movie in my book. But it was something I found interesting while watching this movie, that there was all these similarities to Nightcrawler. But yeah, it's got a great cast. It's a 90s movie. Is it anything spectacular? No, it's not. But it was fun. It was a fun, dumb movie that I would watch again. It's probably my second or third time ever watching this movie. It's just fun. It's dumb. Some really dumb characters. Some 90s stuff in here at the end of the day, guys. You got to go into this movie knowing it's a 90s movie and enjoy it for what it is. At the end of the day, guys, I'd give this movie like a 6 out of 10. It's nothing spectacular, but it is enjoyable for what it is. I will say that. So, yeah, that's Twister for you guys. 6 out of 10. Next up, guys, Minions: The Rise of Gru came out this last week, and I guess you could say last weekend, and so I rewatched the Despicable Me movies. So starting out with Despicable Me. Despicable Me came out in 2010. I remember going to see this in the theater with my siblings and my mother, and enjoyed that movie. And even as an adult, and what would I have been at that time? I would have been 16. It was an enjoyable movie for a 16-year-old. I'm not going to lie. I went in thinking this would be a terrible kids movie that my brother's going to really enjoy, and I actually ended up enjoying it myself too. Looking back at it now, what is it now? 12 years later, I still really enjoy this first Despicable Me movie. I like Gru as a character. I like his girls as characters. There's great voice acting in this movie between Steve Carell, Russell Brand, Marshall from How I Met Your Mother. I can't remember his name right now, but that guy, Julie Andrews. There's a lot of great voice acting in this movie. The soundtrack to this movie is fantastic. Pharrell does all the music in this movie, the soundtrack anyway. There's some great little songs that kind of pop into the movie in and out. It has some great humor that works for kids while also working for adults. And like the Minions are it's slapstick. There's a lot of slapstick, but it's creative, fun slapstick humor throughout a lot of this movie. There's also some poop and pee jokes, of course, and again, I would say it's a little more creative. It's not just a person getting splashed by toilet water. It's a person shrinking down a toilet, going, "Oh, look at the little toilet," and then getting squirted by it. It's like the toilet getting revenge on Victor for being an asshole. And I enjoy that. I enjoy that fact that it's not just slapstick humor. Not just poop and pee humor. It's a little more creative than that. And I actually really love this universe that they kind of set up. That there's villains in this world. We don't really see any superheroes. We see like spy agencies in the sequels. But it's a world that has villains in it. And these villains can go around stealing stuff. And that's just another typical Tuesday. And I like that. This movie does a great job of using the Minions an appropriate amount. They are side characters in this movie. There is one scene where they go to a supermarket and it's just Minions on screen. Pretty much all the other scenes in this movie have Minions in it, but they're the other characters that are actually speaking English, and we can enjoy them. And I really like the Minions in this movie. It's used just the appropriate amount that I can enjoy them. When you have characters like these, if you put it in there too much, it can get really annoying. But when you use them the right amount, it can be just the perfect amount. And I think this movie does such a great job of doing it, honestly. I never got annoyed at the Minions in this movie. We'll talk later about the Minions and how annoying they can be, though. I think that there is a great amount of one-liners in this movie too. I use quite a few one-liners actually from this movie in my real life. The light bulb, I use that occasionally. There's, oh yeah, it's so fluffy. I use those lines all the time now actually. And so it's fairly well written for a kid's movie. And there is just some enjoyable one-liners, some enjoyable little things that you watch throughout this movie. And it is just enjoyable. I also like how they show flashbacks in this movie. You see very quickly in the movie how Gru is evil. And then they just give these little teeny tiny flashbacks of why he is evil. He didn't have the best childhood. And that's all we really need to know. We saw the little bits with his mom. His mom just had no faith in him. And that's all we need to know. I like that they gave us just enough backstory to make us understand why Gru is evil, but we also felt for him, and we understood him, and we're on his side. I like that they did that. So yeah, there's just enough to make me really like the character of Gru. And at the end of the day, I just really enjoy a lot of the characters in this movie. And this movie is, it's no best picture award-winning movie, but it is a great kids movie that I think adults can even enjoy too. And I know I enjoyed rewatching this movie. I didn't hate myself for rewatching this movie at all, in the slightest. I actually enjoyed myself quite a bit. Despicable Me, I'm going to give this first one an 8 out of 10, guys. There's some dumb jokes and humor that don't work in this movie. There's some dumb characters in this movie that just don't work. At the end of the day, it's just a fairly enjoyable movie, and I enjoyed myself quite a bit, actually. So, that is Despicable Me. Next up, guys, we have Despicable Me 2. Despicable Me 2 came out, 2013, I believe. Sequel to Despicable Me 1. I was excited for this movie because I liked Despicable Me 1. This movie, very slowly, started to do some things that I didn't like about this franchise. It started using more and more minions. People were like, oh my god, we liked the minions in Despicable Me as a side character, and we want more. Well, we don't want more, because this movie started to play with that a bit. And there are just some unnecessary things that we see in this movie that are just a little too much. And this was the start of just too much minion. We didn't need it. Again, both of these movies are beautiful. All of these movies are beautifully animated. They're beautifully, shot. The technical aspects are very well done. The end of the first movie kind of showed Gru not going to be a villain anymore. He's going to be a good guy. And in this movie, he becomes a spy, and he's going to help hunt down the bad guy. And I like that. It's a nice, fun, kids spy movie. The humor got a little bit more childish in this movie. The poop and pee jokes weren't as creative. The slapstick wasn't quite as creative as the first one did it. They got a little lazier, I think, with the humor, and said, this is a kids movie. We're going to just make this so kids enjoy it. It's not all of it, though. It's just some of it. It got a little less creative, in my opinion. And that's where it started to lose me a little bit on this one. I still enjoyed a lot of the humor, but not quite as much. This movie, again, has a great soundtrack. The song Happy, I believe, won the best original song at the Oscars. Definitely enjoyable soundtrack in this movie. The villain in this movie seemed even more immature than the last one, which the last villain Vector was pretty immature too, but it just felt even more immature, and like they weren't even trying with this villain as much. This villain is defeated by a fart gun. Not a dart gun, a fart gun. They press a button on the gun, it farts, the villain's, he's knocked out. It's just dumb, and it's just not creative in any way or sense. Like, how are we going to defeat this guy? Well, we're going to shoot a fart gun at him. And that's stupid. My refrigerator's on and it's loud. Let me go unplug that quick because it's just too loud. Way too loud. I'm moving a lot today, guys. I apologize for this, but drives me nuts. My refrigerator's a little loud. I don't have the best refrigerator in the world, but hey, I'm renting, so it doesn't really matter. I could have them fix it, but I don't want to. It's too much work. And then, again, like my example of having too much Minions in this movie. The movie ends with not one, but 2 songs sung by Minions. It's just unnecessary. 1 song would have been fine. 2, though, it's just a little too much. The first one ends with 1 song. The second one has to make it better with putting in 2, but at the end it made it worse. So at the end of the day, guys, I don't hate this movie. It's just that it started to do things that I didn't like quite as much. Lucy's also introduced in this one, voiced by Kristen Wiig. She's fantastic. Again, the voice cast is fantastic. It's just they start doing these things just are very unnecessary. They put in more Minions. They put in more childish humor. And it just felt like they kind of started giving up a little bit. And again, I would still rewatch Despicable Me 2. Not quite as much as Despicable Me 1. But this is still a very enjoyable movie. Just not quite as enjoyable as the first one. I'd give this one like a 7 out of 10. It's still a very good movie. Just a little more childish and more Minions. We don't necessarily need Minions. That much Minions anyway. Oops, I just went past doing this thing with my foot. Okay, sneak peek of all the other movies I saw this week, guys. So yeah, that was Despicable Me 2. Next up, guys, is Ms. Marvel. Ms. Marvel, I'm going to be short with this again because I haven't watched the entire series as a whole. This episode, they're in Pakistan visiting family, learning more about herself, more about these powers, about this amulet. Again, this is more of Marvel that seems really good for, like, a girl, a teenage girl. It's enjoyable for myself as well, but I think, like, it's great for kids. If someone has kids and they want to introduce them to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I mean, this is the way to go. I thoroughly enjoyed this show. Thoroughly am enjoying this show. What are we on now? Episode 4 of it, so we have like 2 episodes left. I mean, I'm curious to see where it goes. This isn't my favorite one ever, but I'm enjoying it for what it is. I'll say that. So yeah, more on that when we actually get to the end of the show. I did it again. Next up, guys, is Minions. This is where the franchise really freaking fell for me. I remember still being excited about this movie. I enjoyed Despicable Me 1, Despicable Me 2, and I thought I was going to still enjoy Despicable Me, or enjoy Minions. It came out in 2015. I remember going to the theater to see this with my brothers and my mom, and I was very excited for it. We were all kind of excited for it. Second one, I think I saw at the drive-in, if I remember correctly, with just my brother. I could be wrong. I don't have as clear of a memory for that one. But I do remember, going to see this one. And I remember we came out so disappointed. We were like, that was dumb. Here's why. I don't care about the Minions. I really don't. These are, what are they? Kevin, Bob, and Eric? I don't know. I think I got a couple names right. Anyways, guys, these characters don't speak English. We don't see subtitles really for them. For some reason, the humans can kind of understand them, but we can't. So you don't necessarily care about what they're saying, and they just get annoying very fast when they are the lead characters. And they are the lead characters. It opens with them back in prehistoric times, and then they travel trying to find a boss, and then they find civilization, and they're hanging out with people, and they're going to VillainCon. From VillainCon, they meet Scarlet Overkill, and from Scarlet Overkill, they try to make her their villain master person, and then over there, they try to steal a crown, and they end up taking it. They become king, queen, whatever the fudge they are, and then Scarlet gets mad, tries to kidnap them, blah, blah, blah. There's so much happening in this movie, guys. So much plot in this movie. It is so messy, so overwritten. It's just too much. Way too much. The humor went from being more kiddish in the second one to just full-fledged kids. I don't understand how adults can find any of this really that funny. I didn't laugh once while watching this at all. there's just stupid things, like a minion wearing a thong. Why is that funny? They're making out with fire hydrants. Why is that funny? I just don't find that funny. It's just childish and dumb. Which again, this movie is made for children, so... I mean, there's worse things in the world, I guess, that a child could be watching, like the Emoji Movie or something like that. But I just didn't find this very good. We have Michael Keaton's in this movie for like 10 seconds. He's barely used. Sandra Bullock's voicing a character in this movie. She's not really used much. John Hamm, he's just... all the character, everything's just poorly written, and it's just... The plot of the movie is, let's get minions on the screen the entire time. And that's the plot of the movie. And it's too much. These are great side characters. They do not need to be full-fledged main characters. And that's what this movie tried to do. And it was... Ugh. I just don't enjoy this movie at all. The plot is ridiculous, over the top, and messy. There's like 7 different plots. I can't even describe this movie because of how much goes on in this movie. It's just too much. At the end of the day, guys, this is a kid's movie. I'm an adult. It's hard for me to say this movie is like a 2 out of 10, which is kind of what I want to give it. I'm not going to go quite that far. I'm going to say this is like a 4 out of 10. Kids will enjoy this. Adults are not going to, though. And that's the thing that just killed me about it. This is just not a family franchise anymore. It's a kids franchise. Whereas the first 2 are more of a family franchise, I think. I think adults can enjoy the first 2 Minions movies. Not anymore. Not with Minions. It's just too much. Way too much. So that is Minions for you. Next up was Despicable Me 3. This came out in, 2017, I want to say. And from watching the trailer, I got excited again about this. The trailer showed basically the opening shot of the movie, which is probably the best part of the entire movie. And it also showed that Gru has a twin sibling. And I thought that was interesting. Gru's brother, though, is kind of a minion. He's a big, dumb idiot. And that, it could have been fine. However, the rest of the movie is also about minions doing stuff on their own. They go to prison and break out of prison. Unneeded sequence. There is the bit where Lucy's trying to be a good mom to the girls. The girl. I can't do it. The girls. I don't know. Anyways, there's a bit with that. And then there's just the bit with his brother. And again, like the Minions movie, there is way too much going on. It's not necessary for all this to happen. Yet it all does happen. And it's just way too much that happens in this movie. And it's just poor. I think it's a little more... It's just sloppy. It's messy like Minions. Not what Minions 1 and 2... Or Despicable Me 1 and 2 was. For some reason, in this movie, too, it's back to humans not fully understanding. There's a scene where Gru takes a Minion dictionary and tries to understand what one of them are saying. And it's like, why did they understand them in the last movie, but now they can't understand them in this one? And he could kind of it's messy. The music in this one, it seems like they have added more and more music to this one. Whereas the soundtrack to the first and second one are kind of just Pharrell. Minions, I forgot to mention this in Minions even too, and then Despicable Me 3, it's just music every 10 seconds. And they use 5 seconds, not even that, they list 2 seconds of a Michael Jackson song, and that's the end of it. And it was just there to go, I'm bad, because the character's being bad. And there's just no point to it. Just to be obvious and on the nose with music choices. And it's just dumb. Unnecessary and just silly. The side plots with the Minions, like I said, it drags the movie down. The side plot between Lucy and the girls is kind of boring. I think this would have been a better movie if the Minions, Gru and the girls, and Lucy were like together doing a mission or something where they were all together, because that's what I like about the first one. That's kind of what I like about the second one. Not these side plots with the minions. This feels just like 3 episodes of a TV show being sprung together. And it's technically like 3 different TV shows. There's a TV show about a mom raising her kids. There's a TV show about Gru and his twin brother who they'd never met. And then there's a TV show with minions. And it's just too much to try and put into this one damn movie. And it's just... this is not as bad as Minions, though. I would say as an adult and as a kid's movie, this is like a 5 out of 10. The humor is not quite as, I think, as far as childish humor goes, it got better from the Minions. Not that much better, though. It's still it's more of a childish franchise at this point. But it got better than the last one, and I'll say that. The slapstick is a little bit better. This is still a movie adults can enjoy, but it's not going to be one they want to rewatch the way I would say with Despicable Me 1 and 2 are. So, yeah, 5 out of 10. Still not quite what it should be. Next up, guys, I watched Thor. Thor Love and Thunder is coming out this next weekend. I'm probably not going to see it till Monday, unfortunately, which really sucks, but it is what it is. So yeah, I'm rewatching the Thor movies now, starting with Thor that came out in 2011. This movie really does set up like an interesting universe and how there's all these other worlds, and Asgard as a place, it feels like a place. It is a beautiful, big, vast world. All the casting in this movie I found good. People don't like Natalie Portman in this role as Jane Foster. I've never had issues with her. I don't think she really is phoning it in that. I don't think she is. I think she's just great. She's doing what she's told to do, and I think she does great with it. I really do. I don't mind Natalie Portman as Jane Foster. I know a lot of people hate her as Jane Foster. I like it. We have Tom Hiddleston as Loki. I think he's fantastic. I forgot just how much he really doesn't speak throughout the first part of this movie. The first half hour, he really doesn't say much. And I found that interesting. Anthony Hopkins is great as Thor's father. Just everyone. Skarsgård. You got Phil Coulson's in here. Hawkeye makes a nice little great cameo. Idris Elba's in this movie. It's just a great cast. And Chris Hemsworth is a great Thor. He looks like Thor. He looks fantastic. And he does fantastic as Thor. The Thor eyebrows that are blonde, I'm glad they got rid of that. That was an interesting choice. I understand why you were kind of going for it, but man, that wasn't the best choice. Dutch angles in this movie are used a little too much in my eyes for this movie. There's a couple scenes where they're just driving to the hospital. Dutch angle of the hospital. Why? We didn't need that. I like the Dutch angles, like, for Thor and his father. It just kind of shows how they're gods and they're massive and amazing people and stuff like that. But then there's just some scenes that just have it to have it. A little too much for that. I love a lot of the humor in this movie. The humor with Thor, just another, showing that his world is so different than ours. The pulling the hammer scene with all the men trying to pull out the hammer with their trucks and stuff. One of the best Stan Lee cameos in my book. But I love that. I totally would see that something happening. If something like that happened where there was a hammer and it just looked like, you know, I guess this hammer kind of looks like it's made from stone or whatever. It looks like it would be heavy, but I totally would see people trying to pull it out. Like it's kind of like a sword in the stone kind of thing. And I love that scene. Special effects still look pretty dang good. I guess it's only 11 years old. Yeah, 11 years old. Wow. This movie's 11 years old. It's 11 years old, but it doesn't necessarily look like that. It still looks fantastic. There are some great action sequences. Everything from the sequence on, I forget, the ice planet. I forget what it's called. The ice giants, frost giants. Oh, I apologize. I think that looks great. I think the action sequence at the end looks great. All of them look very nice. something I will say is that the romance does feel forced in this movie. It feels like they wrote Jane Foster as a character that just needs to be the girlfriend because Thor needs a girlfriend. And it didn't feel necessary. I didn't buy that they, like, fell in love. I could have seen them, like, becoming friends and have built upon that. I didn't buy this romance. And maybe that's why people blame Natalie Portman, that she just wasn't giving her all, and that's why we didn't buy the chemistry. I personally think it's more just the writing. She's written to be like a damsel in distress that knows a lot. She's a scientist, but at the same time, she's just a damsel in distress, and she needs to be a girlfriend because Thor needs a girlfriend. And I didn't think it was quite necessary. So my biggest problem at the end of the day would probably be the writing in this movie. Then there's also just some technical aspects with the angles and such like that. Direction, for the most part, is good. I just think there's some writing moments that are a little bit lazy or just cliche moments that are there because they need to be there because that's what we think as screenwriters. We think that's what is needed for a movie, a superhero movie, but it doesn't need to be that way. It's still a very enjoyable movie. I still really enjoy Thor. It's not my top 10 Marvel movies, but it's up there. I really do enjoy Thor. I'll give this movie like a 7 out of 10. It's quite enjoyable. It's one I've rewatched many different times, and I do really enjoy it. Everything from Loki to Thor and his father, and even that quick little Hawkeye cameo is a fantastic cameo. Coulson is great in this movie. It's a lot of fun. I really thoroughly enjoy Thor. I made a pun. Next up, guys, is the Avengers. It's kind of funny. I was at work bartending, and the Avengers were on, so I kind of had it play in the background. And then it was also the next movie I had to watch in my list of movies to watch. So I went home the next day and watched the Avengers. Was it the next day? I think it was the next day. I watched the Avengers and actually paid attention this time. Whereas I didn't at work because, well, I was working. So I only got bits and pieces of the Avengers at work. But yeah, the Avengers came out in 2012. This movie's 10 years old now. It's weird to think that this movie is 10 years old, but it is. It's 10 flipping years old. It's been 10 years since I've been in high school. I'm old, older than mold. Just like a toad eroding on the side of the road. Anyways, guys, the Avengers. I remember the first time I saw this movie was at the drive-in with some friends who are no longer friends anymore, but saw it at the drive-in with some friends. And I really enjoyed this movie. I thought this movie was a blast, and I love how they used all the other movies to set up this movie, and everybody's in the movie, and everyone has their moment to shine. All the characters are introduced beautifully, I think. Something I kind of noticed as I was watching this movie, there's a lot of arm crossing, particularly like on the helicarrier. Like, Phil Coulson says something, and he crosses his arms as he says it. Nick Fury's just like, tell me about it. And he crosses his arm a lot. It's interesting that, I don't know, I never really fully noticed that, but it's interesting how much arms are just crossed in this movie. But the action in this movie is fantastic. There's a lot of great little fun action sequences, everything from the helicarrier fight to the last hour of this movie and the fight in New York. This is just a fun movie. It's awesome. I love how they were able to set up all these characters. It really is fun. There are people that say that the first hour of this movie is really boring and slow and just sets up things. I think it's enjoyable. I love seeing the introductions of these characters, and I just don't see how it's boring. The first scene with setup, essentially, is Black Widow, and she's freaking fighting while having her arms tied behind a chair. It's badass. It's awesome. The first scene with Iron Man, and he's underwater, flying through New York City, lighting up his building. I think it's fantastic. The scene with him and Pepper Potts, absolutely fantastic. I just don't see how people think that's slow. This movie is so quotable. The puny god. You are beneath me, you foul, evil creature. His name is Phil. There's one more guy you pissed off. His name is Phil. I love this movie. I quote this movie all the time. This movie has stuck with me. I've watched this movie hundreds of times. I love the Avengers. I think it's fantastic. I really do. To me, this is a perfect movie. It really is. I know some people would scream and yell at me for that, and you might be screaming at your screen right now, but I love the Avengers, and this is a perfect movie. I have nothing wrong with it. I really don't. I just really enjoy this movie. It's so much fun. I think it's so well written, so beautifully directed, technically fantastic. So I have not much to say about Avengers that is non-spoiler. If I could go and spend an hour just going through every scene of this movie, and I would, because I just enjoy this movie that much, and I think it's so perfect. So, Avengers, 10 out of 10 for me. I really do enjoy this movie. Next up, guys, is Elvis. So I went and saw this movie yesterday at the theater. I got there late, unfortunately, and did not get tickets online because the theater that I went to is a pain in the butt to buy tickets online. So I went late, and I shouldn't have. I should have bought tickets online, but I didn't. And so I was in the front row going like this. Which, you know, it's fine. It doesn't ruin a movie for me when I'm sitting like this. It really doesn't. And if anything, it just made it look like it was IMAX, kind of, honestly. And I didn't hate that. Think about it, though. This movie is a Baz Luhrmann movie, and he does a lot of quick-cut editing, and a lot of colors pass across the screen, and there's like times where the screen is split into 6 screens, and you have to look all around the screen to look at it. And that was not an enjoyable experience. So that's the first thing I'm going to say about this movie. I didn't go into this with the best experience that I should have. I really need to go rewatch this movie again with a better experience. Sitting in an appropriate spot while looking at the screen. So I will say that. Second thing I'll say is this is very much a Baz Luhrmann film. If you don't like Baz Luhrmann's style, he's very stylistic, you might not like this movie. I don't like really any of his other movies. I think Romeo and Juliet is fine. Great Gatsby, I don't remember anything about it except that it was really weird and super stylistic and had rap songs in it when it's supposed to be the 30s or something like that. And it was annoying. There is a lot of montage in this movie, which wasn't a super big surprise for me, but it was just how it was done. Just so fast edit, boom, 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 crap, that it gave me a headache. Performances in this movie are absolutely fantastic. Austin Butler did such a great job playing Elvis, to the point that when the movie ends and you see real footage of Elvis, I went, oh yeah, that's what Elvis looks like. Austin Butler did such a fantastic job. There is a girl riding a bike, and she is hot. Okay. Anyways, Austin Butler does such a phenomenal job with this movie. Performances by all actors, pretty much all the way around. Tom Hanks, he's doing a very kind of over-the-top performance, and I don't understand why. I kind of feel like it was Baz Luhrmann just wanting a character to be over-the-top, like usual. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but it's kind of over the top. His makeup just does not look the best. He's wearing like this fat suit and this other makeup, and it just doesn't look the best. It was very distracting. This movie's 3 hours long almost. It's 2 hours and 40 minutes. It feels that long. It did not fly by the way I wanted it to. And at the end of the day, I feel like I did not learn a whole heck of a lot from this movie. I feel like everything I knew, and I'm not a big Elvis fan. I really am not. I know some of his songs, and I know what Uncle Jesse has told me from Full House. That's about it. And I just didn't feel like I learned a whole heck of a lot from this movie. I think it kind of just, here is one day and 3 years of time, and you get a little bit, I guess, and then it skips for 3 years and gives you another day. So at the end of the day, I really didn't enjoy this movie as much as everyone else seems to be liking it. I know a lot of critics and stuff are actually thoroughly enjoying this movie. They're not saying it's the greatest movie ever. They're giving it like a solid 7 or 8 out of 10. I'm more in the 6 range on this one. This is a 6 out of 10 for me. Again, I want to see this movie the proper way, not the way I saw it, front row, going like this, getting dizzy from all these colors and images. Just, I think the editing is kind of terrible in this movie. Maybe it'll change after a second viewing, but I don't know. Like I said, I need to see this movie a second time, and then I feel like I will actually have an opinion, which, well, I have 2 days that I'm going to be, no, probably not, maybe, I don't know what's going on, probably not. Yeah, I don't know that I will be seeing this movie again anytime soon. I might be waiting until it's, on a streaming service of some kind or something like that, but I think this, if you're an Elvis fan, I think you're going to really enjoy this movie. Personally, myself, I just didn't love it quite as much as I think everyone else in the world that is an Elvis fan would enjoy it. And even some people that aren't Elvis fans are enjoying it. I just didn't love it. Again, though, I'm going to say that part of that was just how I experienced this movie. And I need to go experience it again, honestly. So anyways, guys, for rating, I'm going to give this one a 6 out of 10. I wanted to enjoy it more, just didn't quite love it quite as much as I thought I was going to, or like I wanted to. So, yeah, 6 out of 10 for me. Next up, guys, last movie I saw this week, I literally just saw it a couple hours ago. Minions, The Rise of Gru. So I really did not like Minions. Was not super excited about a Minions sequel. However, I farted. I'm glad you can't, well, I'm sure it doesn't smell bad. I don't know. Anyways, guys, I farted. I apologize for that. Now I'm doing fart jokes. See what these movies have done to me? They're making me fart jokes. How terrible. It's just bad. Anyways, guys, Minions Rise of Gru. I was a little more excited about this one because there is Gru in this movie. It's Gru as a child, but it's still Gru. And that made me think and hope that, maybe there's going to be a little less Minions in this movie. I can report that there are less Minions in this movie. There's more Minions with Gru in this movie, which is fine. That's perfect. Those are the scenes I was enjoying and actually laughing a little bit at. But then Gru gets kidnapped, and the Minions get their own side story of trying to find Gru. And it was just not good. And it was boring and dumb and stupid. Again, you don't understand these characters. It's slapstick humor that's stupid and dumb. There's this movie's so plotty, too. It's Gru wants to be a supervillain. And then Gru needs to get unkidnapped. And then Gru hangs out with a hero. And then the Minions have to go find Gru. And the Minions have to go find this MacGuffin. And Minions have to learn Kung Fu. Like, there's so much that... excuse me. So much that happens in this movie. It's too plotty. It's just horribly written. But I will say this. I laughed a little bit more than I did in the Minions movie. This movie I laughed just a little bit more. But I actually laughed. Whereas the first Minions I didn't laugh at all. It was just boring and dumb. All these movies are short 90-minute movies. So there is that. The kids that were in the theater today seemed to enjoy it a little bit, but even some of them seemed to get a little restless during the middle half of the movie, which is the part where there's mostly a lot of Minions. It seems to mean something. When the Minions are in this movie as side characters, it's great. When they're not, that's when it's not as good. That's my personal opinion. I know not everyone's going to agree with me on that, and that's fine. It's all opinion. Like I said, I laughed a few times. It was all the parts with Gru. There's just chaotic plots. It's very messy. There is so many... This movie takes place in the 70s, I believe. So many music choices from the 70s. That very similar to Despicable Me 3, where it's just there for 2 seconds and then it's gone. Just to kind of give us happy for 2 seconds and make us think we're really enjoying the movie when we're not. And I personally do not like that. I'm going to put this on par, though, with Despicable Me 3. I don't think it's as bad as Minions. I would say as an adult and as a child movie, I'd give this like a 5 out of 10. Whereas Minions, I could just full funge give that movie a 3 out of 10. It's really not good. but it's a kid's movie, so you get over it. This movie, though, it's a 5 out of 10. It's fine. I don't hate this movie. It's for kids. I don't think I'll ever watch it again unless there's another Despicable Me movie, and I need to rewatch all of them before watching the new one. That's about it. And that's Minions Rise of Gru. I don't have much else to say about it, guys. It's just a kid's movie. I didn't necessarily love it. I didn't hate it. It was just fine. So, guys, upcoming movies this week, we have Thor, Love, and Thunder. It's once again directed by Taika Waititi, which I'm liking. I've watched a couple trailers of this, unfortunately, because I don't like watching trailers, but I have seen a couple trailers. I'm not loving what I'm seeing so far, but it is Taika Waititi, and I've enjoyed all of his movies so far. I really enjoyed Thor Ragnarok. I like that they're bringing Jane Foster back. I really do. And, you know, Korg's coming back. Valkyrie's coming back. Christian Bale as Korg, the Butcher's God Slayer. That could be cool. I'm hesitantly excited for this one, but I'm also... critics saw this like last week, and impressions of this aren't what I want them to be. I wonder if the Rotten Tomato score came out, because I saw some reviews were coming up. I want to look this up real quick. See where it's at. Like, let's look at Metacritic. If this will work. Let's see here. Later. There's no Metacritic score yet. I don't know, guys. Like, from like what I've seen from the trailers too, there's like a black and white fight scene. It looks interesting. It looks a little too Taika Waititi almost. Like he needed to dial it back a bit. So I am excited. But I don't know. I'm a little hesitant with this one. And I guess I just don't want to be. And especially since the Marvel movies that have came out this year haven't been the greatest in my eyes. I didn't love Doctor Strange 2. I guess that was really the only... Was that the only Marvel movie we got this year? It's at 72% on the tomato meter right now. How many reviews? How many reviews? This iPad is very old and slow, so I apologize. 72%. Some ways Thor Love and Thunder feels like Ragnarok's, but overall offers enough fast-paced fun to make this a worthy addition to the MCU. I mean, that's not terrible. It's... I don't know. I'm just hesitant with this one. I don't know what it is necessarily. Does it say how many? And it's not telling me how many. This is very different than what my app on my phone is because this tablet hasn't been updated because I can't update anymore. But yeah, guys, I'm hesitantly excited for this movie. I'm going to see it as soon as I can. I'm going to be excited to see it, but I'm hesitant with this one. It just doesn't quite seem like I'm going to like it as much as I liked Thor Ragnarok. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on it, guys. We're going to have to wrap it up here because I have to get going. I have a meeting for a consult with a new client for cleaning their business and house, so that'll be cool. But yeah, guys, so rest of the Thor movies will be out next week. I only got to watch 2. I still need to watch Thor: The Dark World, Avengers: Age of Ultron, Thor: Ragnarok, Infinity War, Endgame, and then we'll be at Thor: Love and Thunder. So I have to watch 5 movies this week. It's a lot of movies. One of them's a 3-hour-long movie. Hopefully I'll be able to get to watch them all this week. If not, I can still talk about them because I've seen them 100 times. Anyways, guys, I hope you guys have a great week. Keep watching those movies. Keep doing you. Hopefully the weather is nice where you're at. Hopefully life is going good for you. But anyways, guys, we will see you next week. See you soon. Have a good one. Bye.